What'd you say to him at halftime?
Well, I just think that it was, I felt like it was going to be a little bit of a defining moment for us, at least early in the season. I mean, there's many defining moments as you go through the season, but that was one. You know, was it 10-3 at half? I think it was. And we were down, and our backup quarterback's in there, and we're on the road, and you can say what you want about this being a neutral site. That was a Texas crowd, although our fans were unbelievable. We heard them, we felt them the whole game. We just felt like this was an opportunity for us to put all the work that we've done over the course of the last year or 3 years on display and really prove it to ourselves beyond anyone else what this team was made of. And I think that we went out and did that.
Got a question in the middle right.
Jim Alter, USA Football. Coach, you have been known over the last couple of years to have an outstanding O-line. Struggled a little bit in the last 2 games and even in the first half today. But the second half, it was like a whole different O-line. Did you change something? What did you say to him?
You know, we just ran the ball better. And you know, when you're running the ball effectively, you can wear an opponent out. I'm not saying we wore Texas out, but I'm saying it inspires your team when you're running the ball well. You know, it gives you energy, it gives you juice. It's what football is meant to be, you know. Hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, and I think we were able to do that. And, you know, our offensive line, yeah, they love to pass protect, okay, but they would rather just fire off and knock somebody off the ball, and I thought that they did a nice job of that. So we didn't really change anything, just a little bit of the emphasis, more on the run.
Got a question front left.
Brandon Huffman, Scout.com. Coach, they had the defer in the first half, and then they decided to kick it off. You guys got it again in the second half, scored. How important first was it to get that touchdown to start the second half? But you've seen that play 2 years ago to Arizona State.
Well, I had trouble believing it at first, and I told the official, I asked him probably 4 or 5 times, I said, are you sure? Are you sure? You know, and he said, yeah, you get to start the second half as well. And had we not come out and, like you said, put a drive together with Perk breaking that big one early and scored points, it probably would have been irrelevant, but it became very relevant, and it helped us win that game tonight. We were able to steal a possession without taking the ball away. And you know, I'm not exactly sure what went on out there, but we were the beneficiaries, and we'll take it.
Got a question on the front, left side.
Hey, Coach, it seemed like there was a little uncertainty whether Brett might come back there for a while. Was there consideration that he might return?
Not really. They went in and they X-rayed him, and you know, like I said, we have an amazing medical staff. Our doctors, Dr. McAllister. I was with him at halftime when he was talking to Brett and explaining the injury and what they thought and what they could and could not see, and the risks, reward, and we just decided that it was best for Brett not to play. I mean, he was begging to get back in there, but it wouldn't have been the right thing to do to put him in there. You know, now we'll go back to Westwood and we'll get an MRI tomorrow, and then I'll be able to tell you guys what's going on from there.
Gentlemen,
well, can I go back to Brett though? You know, a lot of guys in that situation might mope, feel sorry for themselves, you know. And I don't know if you guys watched Brett on the sidelines, but you couldn't have found anyone on that sideline that was more encouraging than Brett. He was doing the signals. He was talking to Jerry. He was encouraging the offensive line and the receivers, and that's what makes him. It's one of the things that makes him so special. His character. He's an amazing young man. Amazing young man.
Question on the front.
Jim, can you talk about that last scoring play and Jerry's throw and just what was happening on that play?
Well, our guys in the box were doing an excellent job of identifying coverage and what they were doing, and we started to get a little bit of a bead on tendencies, which sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. And we thought that they would play man, and so Noel dialed up a double move, and Jordan Payton sold it. And Jerry lofted it in there. The protection was excellent, and you know, we guessed right on that one. That's a kind of football when you're calling plays. It's a game of guessing, and like Noel says, hey, you know, I'm just gonna call them. You guys go make them work, and they made it work on that one.
Question outside, Rob.
Hey, Jim. Before you even got to Texas, what about Jerry? Did you know and see that you felt like this is a guy that could get us through a game?
He's a coach's kid, you know. He's a coach's kid. He grew up in this game, you know. We're the same, man. We're the same people, you know, and that's what we talked about the first week I took this job when you know, this was going to be a hard transition for a guy like Jerry. His dad, who's a legend here, had been released, you know, and that's the game of football. That's the sport that we're in. It's tough. It happens. And but Jerry has never, ever, ever, ever let that get in the way of being an amazing young man, an amazing teammate, team member, and I just have confidence in him. You know, you guys know it. I tell you all the time. I think he can go out there and he can get it done for us. He's like his dad on the field. I mean, you know, he's something. There's something in there, man, that you can't coach it. You grow up with it.
We got a question on the front.
Yeah, you mentioned Hundley on the sideline. I noticed he had headsets on. What was he doing? I mean, as far
He
as
was signaling, so he wasn't calling any plays. So he wasn't calling any plays. Noel was calling the plays, but he was signaling, so he would hear the play. He would hear the call from Noel, and then he was signaling either to Jerry or the near receivers, sometimes the far receivers. We just have a system in place, and so he was a part of the system. Essentially what he did is he took Jerry's place, and Jerry took his place, and they both functioned well, and we got a win. That's what being a team's all about.
And the other thing was Malcolm Bunch at the end of the game came limping off. What's his status?
I don't know. He went back in, you know, for those final couple plays there, and just like everyone else, we'll get him reevaluated as well. We had some young men step up today because of injury. You know, Anthony Jefferson sprained his ankle before the game, couldn't play. Jaleel Woodard stepped in there and played. Fabian Moreau hurt his elbow. Jalen Ortiz stepped in there. You know, DeHaan Goodman stepped in there for Randall Goforth. You know, that's what you do. You know, you step up, next guy gets up and starts playing, and you rally around him.
Got a question on the outside.
Skyler Dixon with the Associated Press. Since you knew Brett probably wasn't coming back, did you have any words of wisdom for Jerry pulling aside or anything, or you just know that it kind of takes care of itself?
There was no Rudy moments, no Hoosier moments. Just Jerry, you know, just go do what you do. You know, he knew we all had confidence in him. I mean, that team, the thing about Jerry is his team freaking loves him. You know, I mean, they love him, and they have great confidence in him. And so there was never any doubt. There was never any, oh, God, Jerry's in there. It was like, hey, Jerry's in there. This is going to be awesome, man. That's how it was, and it ended up being that way.
Question in the aisle.
Yes, Coach. Greg Ford, CNS Media. How important was it to have the offensive line, have an experienced offensive line out there in front of Jerry in a situation like that, such as Jake Brendel at center? How much easier did it just have, did that make the whole situation when he came in?
I mean, probably if you hadn't asked that question, it would have been probably one of the most overlooked and critical variables in this game. You know, having Malcolm, having Jake snapping to him, you know, having some guys in there, and Alex and Scott Quisenberry and Caleb, who now have some games under their belt. I think it gave us all just a sense of comfort, and they did an excellent job all night. And you know, early we struggled a little in pass pro, but once we settled down, we ran the ball well, and that always going to help you throw the ball.
Final question for Coach right here on the front.
Coach, you talk a little bit about that special teams over here, the return and that Cameron Judge block.
Well, Cameron was a little bit frustrated through the night, and I think you guys might have seen where he and Ish had a discussion. It wasn't contentious at all. On the previous punt return, Cameron really didn't attack his guy. What we did on that one is we're kind of a return team when it comes to punts. We rushed that one. We had a call on. We were trying to block it, and so we have what's called a bench return. And we were just peeling off, and when you're the first guy down there, man, that's what you look to do. You look for a guy who's not looking, and you hit him legally. You hit him clean, and you know, anytime Ish gets the ball in his hands, good things can happen. They're not always going to happen, but they certainly can. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.